It's time to finish the game. Let's go.
Ball first and 10 at the 12-yard line of the Seahawks. Sean goes right, has a cutback lane, and he does. He's across the 20, the 25-30, 35-40. Here he goes. Are they going to catch him? 40, 35-30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown Seahawks. What a run by Sean Alexander.
Finish the game. We're going to finish the game. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sean Alexander. You are listening to Finish the Game. I'm here with Claude Jennings. What's up, my brother?
Yes, sir, Sean. Show number 2, man. Well, number 1, congratulations on the first show being launched last week. Lots of great feedback, and we love hearing from everybody. And so, like I said, tell everybody you know about Finish the Game with Sean Alexander, the NFL MVP in 2005, helping us all be MVPs in life.
Man, this has been great. You know, yeah, that is so true. Everybody that has responded back from Instagram, which is Finish the Game 37, people on Twitter at Sean Alexander, people that have gone on my website, seanalexander.com. Gosh, you know, thank you for the warm welcome, the warm love. Yeah, people even got on there on YouTube that started what's it called, subscribing.
Yeah, to the YouTube channel, right?
It's been funny. So I still don't know the YouTube lingo, but it's really cool to kind of see people really wanting to be a part of us finishing the game. Yeah, so I want to tell everybody thank you. And Claude, you know, yeah, this last week was awesome, man.
Yeah, you know, we talked about you going to being inducted into the Kentucky Athletic Hall of Fame, right?
It was so sweet, man. You know, gosh, you forget how you were raised and growing up, that all the things that impact you, you know, to start off with singing my old Kentucky Home, and I'm over here singing the words, and I'm over here like, when did I learn this song, and why do I know all the words?
Right,
you know?
right.
And you forget, you know, I've been out of Kentucky since I was 17, you know, when I took off for Alabama, and I would only be home for maybe 3 weeks for summer trips, and then maybe a couple of trips from Seahawks games and things like that. But to go back and to have them show pictures and videos, and have friends come and talk about me, it was really special, really sweet.
Good. And so, I mean, a lot of guys out there, I mean, who some folks may not know. I mean, there were some great men inducted into the Hall of Fame as well, right?
Yeah, it was. You know, even seeing some of the banners, you know, of course, the great Muhammad Ali is on there, and you see some of the great Denny Crum and some of the great basketball coaches. Even Bear Bryant is in there from Kentucky when he was coaching there. But gosh, you know, I was in there with a great guy, Daryl Carrier. He was a super basketball player. Gosh, Daryl must be about 75 now. He gets up there and I mean, there must be something about Kentucky people with swag. I'm just letting you know.
You've got the late, great Muhammad Ali who can talk like nobody else.
You get Daryl get up there with his 75-year-old self, and he says, hey, you know, you was a great basketball player, the ABA. You scored so many points. I think you averaged 26.5 points a game. You was like that shooter that no one could stop back in the 50s. They said, yeah, you know, what do you think you could do in today's game? He said, today's game, he said, yeah, you know, because they're, you know, they move and the game is just different. Basketball is just, you know, the game itself is different. He said, yeah, I'll probably get about 18. And they said, 18? He says, yeah, I mean, I'm 75. You know, he's talking about he get 18 today.
Right.
I said, boy, that boy got swag. He like, put my shoes on right now. Let's get it.
Oh, man, that's great. Well, you gave a speech, a nice speech, and we've got an excerpt from that. And there's some things that you talked about in that speech that I think will help us in life. Again, the whole concept of finishing the game. So let's hear that speech and then just pluck out something that really kind of stood out to me when I heard it.
I was jamming at my old Kentucky home. My mom and dad are both here. I thank you all so much for just being here and supporting as I've gone through this great venture of playing from high school football to going to the great University of Alabama to playing pros in the Seattle. I wish my beautiful bride would be here to come celebrate with me in this great land of Kentucky, but she couldn't come. She's with 7 of my beautiful children. But I do have good news. The oldest is here with me. Beautiful family. You know, I can't say enough about how much I love Kentucky, how thankful I am for this award. I am a person that I could say to the day that I die, that I am truly blessed by the Lord Jesus Christ. He surrounded me from day one with people that were not perfect, but people that knew how to point me to the greatest person that could ever walk on this planet. And so from there, I am the product of a person that just stands around great people that are willing to give me everything they got. And I was reading to my daughter this morning that, you know, you reap what you sow. And I'm the product of some great sowers, and I'm just thankful. And so with that, some of my high school friends, cousins, brothers, Josh, Ben, Duran, thank y'all for being there. Some of my great friends from Seattle, Andrew, Dustin, little Eliana, welcome to my Kentucky family. And all y'all, you know, I love telling people, hey, you know, Alabama had this great event that was really awesome. And I said, you know what it is about Alabama is they were not scared to find good people and make them heroes for the next generation. And so never hesitate, you young people, to find some great heroes to watch and imitate their lives. I did it, and I'm a product of that. And I tell all you parents, you be a great hero to your kids, and whatever the best you can do is going to be good enough, but make sure at that same time you point your kids to the hero. Everything else is going to be all right. So once again, thank you all. Bless you all. Thank you all, Kentucky Athletic Hall of Fame. This has been great.
So yeah, man, that was, you know, a great speech, really sincere, you know, and genuine. And one of the things that I loved about it, and you hear this a lot throughout different Hall of Fame speeches and even MVP speeches, people giving credit to someone else who helped them get to where they are. And that's such a huge principle, you know, that I think we should spend some time on it today on Finish the Game is you were talking about sowing and reaping, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Sowing into someone else's life, and they reap, you know, that benefit. And no one gets anywhere on their own. We all need someone helping us or pouring into us to help us get to where we need to be.
It's amazing because, you know, when you accomplish some things, you know, the first thing that you want to do is kind of take it in like, wow, they really love me. Right. But as soon as you get over that, you realize, how did I get here? Right. I mean, you could have been Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson or, you know, any of the greats. You could have been Emmitt Smith or Joe Montana. You know, it don't matter what sports you've played in or even in things that you've done in life. You look up and you're like, okay, I've reaped this great reward. Right. How did I get this? Because I mean, I did a little bit of sowing, but to get to this high level, how much did I really sow? Or was it that folks sowed such good seeds and plants and things around me that the little bit I did really made it really big. Right, and I just think that that's a big part of life. I think that folks that want to accomplish things, they should actually go get around a couple thousand other great sowers, you know?
Right.
It's
what's
amazing.
interesting, though, it was such a great point, is the fact that, you know, sometimes there are people who will naturally come into your life and they'll start, you know, investing in you and sowing into your success. But then sometimes if you find yourself in a situation where there's a shortage of people around you, because sometimes we grow up in situations where we're not around the best individuals, you know? And sometimes finding folks to invest in us is going out to find those people. I need to find someone to help mentor me to sow into my life.
Yeah, I think that that's part of your sowing. Like sometimes you got to do a little bit of work to go get the right people around you. And, you know, and I just know that for me, like that was always a goal. I had some friends that were very positive. I had some friends that was very negative, but there were some adults that were around me that were very, very positive, and there were some adults that were very negative. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually sow myself into the things that are going to get me to be the greatest man of God I can be, the greatest athlete I could be, the greatest husband eventually I could be. I'm talking about when I was in high school and junior high and then off to college. I think that you got to sow some good seeds. You know, I'm always telling to my kids and even my friends, like, apple trees can only produce apples. Right. And so if you don't know how to produce apples, you better get yourself, what's it called, shafted, where you cut off part of the stick and you grow that into you, and you're like, hey, that's all I can be. I think at the end of the day, you got to realize that I've got to sow good to produce good. Right. You know, and so if you want to grow in and being a great athlete, as much as I love Doritos, you can't just eat Doritos. You know what I mean? If you want to sow into being a great husband, you know, you might have to spend a little bit of money and a little bit of research and figuring out what does a great husband look like. If you want to be a great student, you want to be a great mentee. I call them great sons. You know, there's some guys that have been around me that are like, Sean, I just want to learn how to play the game. I want to learn how to do football. I want to learn how to do my spiritual life. I want to learn how to grow. You got to say, let me cut time out of my busy schedule, which I'm sure it is, and say, I'm going to devote this time to learning or growing. So I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call the mentor. I'm going to call the disciple. I'm going to call the teacher and get myself ready, because I'm going to sow into me so that one day this thing can grow some great fruit and I can reap that harvest. Right.
I mean, it's about figuring out, or at least have an idea of where you want to go, and then putting in the work. You know what I mean? To get there, you know, and it's you doing it. It's your mentors doing it. It's people who you go to for wisdom, you know, doing it. So, but it's also kind of a reciprocal thing. Like, I mean, you also have to be that for someone else. I mean, you can't
Without a doubt.
you know, say, hey, I'm looking for people to totally invest in me and help me out, and all my efforts are going to me sowing for me. No, I mean, you've got to do that for others.
Right. Don't be a glutton. Don't get all the chips, all the food, and then you eating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that people of real success realize. It's not necessarily the climb is awesome, the stand on top of the mountain is awesome. You know, the MVP and the going to the Super Bowl, that was awesome. But gosh, there's something inside of me that has this great joy by calling up the current Seahawks and watching them win the Super Bowl and being like, wow, I kind of laid the foundation for this thing. Me and a group of my guys from the early 2000s, we laid this. We sowed this, and now we get to see what it's reaping. It's a beautiful thing. But even individually, you know, I think it's foolish to not say my life is going to be poured out into other people. Right. That reward is so strong. It's kind of like what parents say. You know, parents always say, man, having kids was great, but them grandchildren, you know, they love it because they actually, especially good, solid grandchildren, they ain't got to do nothing but just come over there and high five and smile. I mean, grandparents love that because they're seeing the fruit of what they sowed in their own kids. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that's intentional, right? I mean, by the way, you can wake up in the morning and say, you know, two things. Number one, I'm going to somehow, some way today invest in future success for my life, whether that's picking up a good book, tuning into a couple podcasts like Finish the Game. That's right.
To enrich yourself. But then also, I'm going to impact someone else's life today. It could be someone that you know who may be going through a tough time, and you call them up and just say, hey, I just want to check on you. Or hey, I want to pray. Or hey, I knew that you were going through a tough financial time. Here's some material to read about, you know, rebuilding your credit. Or anything like that. You know, it's like there's things you can do that says, you know what, every day I'm going to make it my duty to impact my own life, to sow into my own success and my family's success, and into the life of somebody else. And it can be small; it doesn't have to be big. Yeah, you know what? And I found for myself, you know, me giving a little time to the Lord to pray. I'm sowing into my own self. But you know, sometimes it turns to 5 minutes, sometimes it turns to 2 hours. Pray, you know, hey, y'all got to pray for me sometimes, you know. But it's really beautiful. But I also realize, like, when I come downstairs and I get into my office, there are some things that I'm going to read and study. There's some business people I'm going to connect with. I'm going to look up to kind of say, okay, is my mind on track with what I want to become? Wow. And then also, so folks, listen. I mean, I think that's a big point. You said, is my mind on track with what I want to become? Yeah. And so I feel like it's your mind and your heart and your emotions. You know, sometimes y'all got to learn, y'all got to let stuff go, because it's going to mess up where you want to go. And so that's me all day. Sometimes I have a hard time. I've got friends like that too. And you look up and you holding on to what somebody did or what somebody didn't do, and it's jacking your future up because you still hold on. So get back into sowing into yourself. And the best thing to do is learn how to die of your own feelings and emotions. Let those things go so that you can actually do what's going to create the greatest fruit, the greatest reaping, which is go sow into somebody else. And so, you know, sick people can't really heal people. And so what you got to do is say, hey, you know what? The best way is not to get myself well. The best way is to get yourself off yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so like, oh, okay, so I got a job. I got to go make these digits happen. And how am I going to go flip this to get that? And okay, I got to be up there and I got 9 to 5. So I got, okay, no. You pray,
get your mind right, and then go think about somebody else. Go give yourself to somebody else. Go pour into a person that's got it worse off than you, and you'll actually realize you'll come up out of whatever little thing you thought was a big thing. You'll come out of that, because you're going to see what happens is it's still the story that, you know, what you sow, you will reap. And you know, you sowed into somebody else, and next thing you know, you're reaping a harvest off of not focusing on yourself so much.
Right. Wow, that's powerful. You're listening to Finish the Game with Sean Alexander. I'm Claude Jennings, Mr. Kentucky Hall of Fame inducted. And, you know, of course, with the news late last week of the passing of the great Muhammad Ali, you know, by many accounts, greatest boxer of all time. I mean, just the greatest. You know, he's also in the Kentucky
he is.
Hall of Fame.
You know what? He would be a guy that I would definitely call a finisher. You know, you know, and so, you know, like let's tell everybody about what we want to do. We want to hear some other great finishers. You know, we want to hear the stories of some great finishers. So if you go to finishthegame@SeanAlexander.com, send us some stories. We want to talk about you and your life. You could send it video, audio, or just send an email telling the story, and we'll have our team look at it, read it. And you guys, you never know, we might call you and put you on the show with us. But we want to tell the story of some great finishers.
And this is in any area of life. I mean, you don't have to be an athlete to send this in. I mean, you know, a great
I want to hear some great dads, some mamas, some grandmamas, some kids that have had to bust their tail to get to college. Some kids that said they didn't want to go to college and they just went to work and they impacted their whole company. I want to see some people talking about how they finished the game. And, you know, you can put on there, you know, finish the game at SeanAlexander.com. I want you to put on there #finisher. I want to hear some of their stories so we can talk about you, and it kind of reminds me of some things that Muhammad Ali did well. Right. You know, you know, I think about him, and one of the things I do know, you know, of course I've met him, you know, back in the day when I was playing ball, and he had a way to get around people that were doing things and make them feel special. But I don't remember. As strong as his Parkinson's disease was, you know, even 10 years ago when I was around him, I don't remember a time where he didn't sign autograph for everybody. I mean, as much as he could. I mean, he was a champ, he was older, so he was trying to get into his room at times or get out of the place. But the few times I was around him, he would sign for everybody that he could because he wanted to bring you a great memory and a great moment. And I've always tried to copy that as much as I could. You know, I get schedules and this and that, and they're trying to pull me to this and that. But if you catch me and there's nothing I really have to get to, I've always tried to copy that to give somebody an opportunity to have a great moment. And
and
so I think about that.
Opportunity to have a great moment.
And so that was really special. You know, the first time I met the champ was in Arizona. We were at an event to raise money for Parkinson's disease, and it was so special. I sat next to so me and Valerie, my bride, we sat next to Buzz Aldrin. He was the first person to walk on the moon, and I'm over here thinking to myself, okay, I got the champion of the world, the greatest boxer. I'm sitting here next to the first person to walk on the moon, and some guy that carries a pigskin around. I'm like, what? Why am I here right now? You know, how did I sneak into the room, and why am I not carrying drinks and cups for people? I don't know, but it was so sweet and special. And I remember Garth Brooks and his wife jumped on stage and they sang a song. The first time they ever did a duet together in front of a big audience. I remember Patrick Swayze was healthy then. That was before he died of cancer, and he sung the song "She's Like the Wind" from his movie Dirty Dancing. Actually, it was like one of those moments. Like my wife and I, you know, we had our best gear on. You know what I mean? We weren't even used to wearing clothes that fancy. You know what I mean? And
like what?
We going to the party. You know, so it was really beautiful. But Muhammad Ali walks in the room and he takes over the room. And it was special because, you know, they'd be like, hey, the champ wants to come and talk to you. And I'm like, what? How did I get this great honor? You know, it was really cool to see him on purpose try to give everybody in the room a special moment. And that's what made him great, you know. And, you know, he had that Kentucky swag, you know what I mean? I think we all have that on the inside, you know. Now we're starting to realize it might just be in the bloodline over there, you know. If we got it, you know. But it was really cool, you know, to just watch him handle people and talk to people and everybody he gave that focus to, like they were important and like they were the champ.
Wow.
And he was the fan.
And that's
you know?
something we can do in everyday life, man. I mean, parents, we can give our kids that moment to feel special. And even at work, you know, someone who's working on a project and they complete the project, you know, why not praise them for such a great job? Give them their moment to shine and to be special.
You know, one of the kids I mentored, we had some friends coming in town, and one of the guys I disciple was like, "Oh, hey, who's coming in town?" And I was just talking about all this, and he named another one of the guys I mentored back in Seattle, and he said, "Oh, I thought it was him." I said, "Oh, what made you say that?" And he said, "Well, gosh, you were so excited. I just thought it was this person in Seattle because you talk with such excitement about him." And I thought to myself, I'm kind of hard on my brother in Seattle, you know, to me, you know what I mean? I'm like, I want him to be a weapon for Jesus. You know, I want him to be a weapon in what he's been called to do. And so I had to call him up on the phone and say, "Hey, bro, I know Sean's hard on you. You know what I mean? Because I want you to be the best, but I want you to know this story, that even though you don't know how much I love you and how high I think of you and how proud I am of who you are, this other person brought it to my attention that I talk about you like that. So I want to let you know that I'm proud of you and I love you and you're something special and you're going to impact this world." And he sent me a text back like, "Dude, I'm about to go play ball. You ever got me about to tear up?" You know what I mean? He tried to put his mean mug on, but what I realized was I wanted to give him that special moment because guess what? We all need that.
Yeah.
One of my mentors, Kerry Casey, he's the president and CEO of the National Center for Fathering and fathers.com. You know, he calls me sometimes on the phone and he just simply says, "Sean, I just want to tell you like your dad, I'm proud of you." Nice. And I just be like, why does that hit my heart so hard? I want to tear when he says that, you know, he just said he's proud of me. I've heard cheers my whole life, you know, but when he says it, he gives me that special moment and, it's really beautiful. So I tell you all listening to Sean Alexander, Claude Jennings. This is Finish the Game. We're talking about sowing and reaping and making sure that you actually be a sower, sow into other people's lives. Even if you're young, go tell somebody that they're special when you're thankful of who they are. You know, and as I think about Muhammad Ali, you know, and the great champ he was and all the people he impacted, I was still sad, you know, and I didn't know how to articulate it as I was just kind of waking up with him dying. But you know, there's like a healthy fear and a reverence I have for God because we're all going to die. And, you know, Claude, I was just thinking to myself, like, if this great man that impacted all these lives and gave people special moments, he did the things that you'd want to do in life, be a champion, make money, raise money for other causes, impact people's lives. But I don't know if he knew Jesus. And that's that scary thing for me. And I want to tell everybody that I love you guys and I love you and I want everybody to do great things to impact this world. But make sure you finish that game as well. That might be the most important victory that you ever have, is saying, man, no, I actually know and love Jesus as my friend, as my Lord, as my King, and as my Savior. Because, gosh, you know, in 100 years from now, folks won't remember Muhammad Ali. You know, folks won't remember Sean Alexander. But maybe the next generation would say, gosh, you planted this seed to follow Jesus, to love Jesus. So I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to love and I'm going to get special memory. But if we don't take care of this Jesus thing, gosh, I just get scared because I think our world has taught us that we can kind of take care of that later at the end, or if we do good enough, that it's going to be okay. And so, you know, so with just love for people and a reverence for God and a real heart to see people finish this game of life well, make sure that you go get around somebody that can give you some clarity on how to do this thing with Jesus. Because I would hate for life to end and that not be taken care of.
Right. Wow. This is Finish the Game with Sean Alexander. I'm Claude Jennings. And look, coming up, Sean, we've got some special guests on some upcoming shows. We're not going to tell anybody who the first guest is.
Oh, man.
Maybe we'll do some kind of show, you know, some kind of game where we allow people to guess or something.
I don't know.
Like that. Maybe we'll start that in the next couple of weeks.
Well, you know, you told me to write out my guests wish list. And so maybe we'll let all y'all start writing in. Y'all can probably tweet me. Who do y'all want me to be the first guest? Of course, I'm good friends with some people that are already well known. Steve Harvey, and I've told you some stories, but maybe I'll tell some Steve Harvey stories later.
We'll get all these guys on.
And of course, being out here in Washington, Kirk Cousins is the quarterback,
right.
and so he could be a good one. And
Some
then
former Seahawk players.
Russell Wilson,
Seahawk players,
current, what I mean, and he's from Virginia, and so then you get you get some Passers back, you got Hasselback, my boy. We can have Ricky Waters, one of the first ESPN #1 high school recruits, it was pretty amazing to follow in his footsteps in Seattle. And so we got some goals. Maybe we should think of the wish list, like who we want, whether it be entertainment or sports or.
And now we've got some lined up now.
We do.
You know what I mean? And so we want to kind of see if folks can guess who that first guest is going to be.
Yeah, because we actually already know who the first guest is going to be, but let's see if they would guess it.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll give you another update on how we'll do that whole game thing with the first guest next week. We'll
that's what we'll do. That'll be fun.
Until then, man, spread the word. Finish the game. You're going to get good teaching here from our guy Sean Alexander on how you can be an MVP in life.
That's right. And everybody, if you got a finishing story saying that I'm a finisher, my mom was a finisher, my granddaddy's a finisher, send it to us. Finish the game at SeanAlexander.com. It could be video, audio, or you could just tell us the story through email. Finish the game at SeanAlexander.com, and we'll go do it.
Encouraging and uplifting talk. You're listening to Finish the Game with Sean Alexander.